What's going on, y'all? Welcome to Joel Friday TV. I am Joel Friday. A few announcements before we get started. Hit that like button, smack it. Lay the smack down on like, subscribe, and share button. Tell your peoples about the show so we get the subscribers up and a message out. Do it now. Help a brother out. As you guys know, we are live Monday through Thursday at 11 a.m. Pacific time. And at any point during the show, you can call in by calling 888-775-3773, 888-775-3773, and we can get into whatever's on your mind, whatever's on your heart, whatever's on your spirit, whatever's in your soul. We can get into it. All right? We could talk about it. If for whatever reason you can't call in, but you still have a question or comment, or you just want to support the show, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/JoelFridayTV, or go directly to the YouTube live chat. Hit the super chat button there. I'll send your question or comments. I'll read your question or comments live on air. All right? All right. What's today? Today's Thursday. What is Thursday? Tell me what is Thursday. Tell me what Thursday is. Character Breakdown Thursday. Character Breakdown Thursday. Okay? Amazing stuff. We're going to get into some stuff. I have stuff to get into. First off, shout out to my shirt. All thoughts are lies. All thoughts are lies. JLP shirt. You can get this on rebuildingtheman.com/stores. You could check that out and get your own tee. Undershirt, not by JLP, but overshirt by JLP. All right? Get you a shirt. This shirt actually came about, funny story, is one day I came into work with a cut-off sleeve shirt, and Justin was like, what made you wear that shirt to work? I was like, oh, I thought it would be fine. He was like, nuh-uh, go get you a shirt in the front, but buy it. So not only did I not get to wear my cutoff sleeve shirt, I had to buy a shirt. It wasn't free. He said, you can't wear that shirt and you better go buy a shirt. So I went and bought it. All thoughts are lies. Shout out. But I love the shirt. Fits good. Get you one as well. All right, anyways, before we get into that good. When I tell you I got a meal prepared for y'all, when I tell you I got a meal, 5-course prepared, I got one. But, I got to give you that appetizer. We got to start off with that appetizer. So here's a little small clip. Nothing crazy, kind of funny. Little clip that I came across on Instagram that I didn't quite understand, but I want to get into. Let's talk about it. Here we go. This is from Instagram. 2 random men go toe-to-toe with 3 Instagram models. Here we go.
Luptați!
Cine a sărit pe Adriana? Costică a sărit pe Denisa. Denisa este la pământ.
10 Boss Babes versus 1 JFTV. I'm down. Who's paying? Taking all bets. Take all bets. I'm taking all bets right now. 10 Boss Babes. And Boss Babes, listen, some of them Boss Babes are strong. Some of them Boss Babes, come on. They in the gym. 10 Boss Babes versus 1 TV, 1 JFTV. Who's winning? Who you got? Who you got? Who you got your money on? And if you guys dare, well, I won't say that because I want to see what you guys say. Bet I'm winning. You're married, Joel. Listen, this is a fight. We're talking about fight. We ain't talking about flirt. We're talking about fight. 10 Boss Babes versus 1 JFTV. Run it up. I ain't accepting nothing less than $250K for the fight. And if I lose, I still get $50K. I just don't understand those things, but hey, they're entertaining, I guess. But can't those girls get hurt? I don't know. Joelle is a boss babe. That's a good one. Whatever, bro. Another little thing. Can you guys believe this? I was ticked when Lil C told me this. Listen, I'm gonna tell you. I don't know what we were talking about, but she compared me to a golden retriever. What kind of wife? What kind of partner in crime? What kind of helper? What kind of helpmate? Talking about some, yeah, you remind me of a golden retriever. What the? I said, what about like a golden retriever Rottweiler mix? Like a Rott retriever. She was like, no. Tick. I should have asked that before I locked it in. But I'm in there now. I gotta deal with it till death do. What the? Nah, I'm just playing. Anyway, let's get to it. I got stuff I want to get into, man, and I got some clips I want to share with you guys, and we got a good amount of them here. Just a few. Nothing crazy. Just a few clips. But listen, I want to talk about Mr. Richard Ramirez, okay? Because I just think that this guy is so interesting. And I'm looking into him, and I was just curious. I was curious to see, like, what drives somebody to want to do this type of thing. And obviously, we did the true crime on Tuesday about Richard Ramirez. He killed a bunch of people, broke into their houses, just brutalized them, raped, murdered, just the whole nine. And with no shame, right? Just no care. And I was thinking, like, you know, what would cause somebody to do that? Obviously, their upbringing. Obviously, there's different things. But I still want to see after the fact, right? What's his attitude like? What is his, like, what's his mindset like? You know what I mean? For these people to just be so disattached from life and people and whatever, and be able to just do these things without any remorse or any conscious or anything. And listen, first thing I want to say is these people deserve to be where they are, right? They committed crimes. You can't kill, you can't steal, you can't R-word, you can't do that stuff. It's not proper. You shouldn't do things like that. You ruin people's lives, and there's consequences for that on earth and in heaven. It says it in the Bible. But they don't deserve, like I said on Tuesday, to be judged, right? And we do justice to ourselves and to the world by understanding the cause, so you can avoid the effect, right? Right? Is it just me that just curious? Now, my curiosity could just be ego. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that I'm sitting up here like, oh, I'm just so curious because that's the God said to be. I'm just very curious. It's interesting to me. And I want to get into some of these clips, some of these interviews. I got a few clips here from some interviews of Richard Ramirez speaking on what it means, what his behavior means, how he became this way, and stuff like that. All right. This is from Criminology Tube. Richard Ramirez points to the evils greater than him. Here we go.
You have now entered a very rare group of people in this country. You're in the ranks of Charlie Manson, Ted Bundy. You claim you didn't commit these murders, but you're right in there now as far as everybody else is concerned.
Serial killers do on a small scale what governments do on a large one. They are a product of the times, and these are bloodthirsty times. People in this day and age are brainwashed and programmed like a computer at being nothing more than puppets. This nation, this country is founded in violence. Killing is killing, whether done for duty, profit, or fun. Men murdered themselves into this democracy.
You're good at reading your script, Richard, but you're not much at answering my direct questions. A lot was made that you're a devil worshiper. Do you worship the devil? Have you ever studied Satanism?
There are different sects of Satanism.
Have you studied, just yes or no, have you studied Satanism?
Yes, I have. I can tell you a little bit about Satanism.
Well, I'm interested in hearing what you got to say then.
It is undefiled wisdom instead of hypocritical self-deceit. It is power without charity. A Satanist admits to being evil.
Do you admit to being evil, Richard?
We are all evil in some form or another, are we not?
I'm asking you the questions, my friend.
Yes, I am evil. Not 100%, but I am evil.
I just find it just so interesting to me because what I'm seeing, first off, before I get into my points about what he said, what I'm seeing to me when I watch that, I just see a man that's like begging to be properly understood. I'm not justifying nothing. I'm not saying that he shouldn't be where he is, and I'm not saying we gotta skip and hold hands in the streets. I ain't saying that. But I'm just saying that what he seems to me he's trying to do is get people to understand that he's not a psychopath, though he did some crazy thing. Like people are paying him to be, right? Because it seems as if he's just wants to be understood for his behavior, right? Understood why he did the things that he did. And how do I know that? Because you look at when he asks the question, is like, they're like, do you worship Satan? He's like, well, there's different sects. Because he's not trying to be classified as a demon, devil, Satan worshiper that does evil and has an evil heart. He doesn't want to be classified as that. He doesn't want to be blanket. He doesn't want to be judged as being evil, though he's well aware of his evil, right? But he's trying to me, express that he's still a person. Because then the guy asks him, well, are you evil? Answer the question, yes or no, right? Because that's what the people want. Are you evil? And he said, yes, I am evil. Not 100%, but I am evil. And what does that say? Is that there's something in him that doesn't want to be seen that way, that wants to be understood and is not justifying his behavior. I'm not making excuses. I'm not defending this man, but in a way, maybe defending the judgment against people. You know what I'm saying? But let's get to the point, what he's saying. Is, secondly, I find that he says that there are far greater evils in the world than these serial killers. He said that the greater evils are those of the government right? Those in the government who do these things. He's like, people kill far great. Oh, he said, what serial killers do on a small scale is what government does on a mass scale. I mean, those are one of those statements that somebody would say, and then you would be like, well, that's not the point. You're evil type of thing, right? But not address that. Is he making a point? Is he making a point, though? I find that there are people who do evil, like serial killers, and show their hand, right? They show their hand when they do evil. But then there's people, which is a big percentage of the world, who do evil and hide their hand, right? Even to themselves. Even to themselves. They'll do evil with their right hand and pretend like they didn't see it, that it was their own hand that did the evil. They'll be in denial about it. And I find that to be far more destructive than the one who shows the hand. To me, right? And that's the point he's trying to make. And I ain't defending nobody. I'm just saying, I'm just trying to get to an understanding of this dynamic here. There's a lot of people in the world in positions of power that do a lot of insane, crazy, wild things beyond evil. You can't even, but they're behind the scenes. You don't see it, right? And guess what? It's a slow process. Oh, it's a slow process that this stuff is happening. You know what I mean? Years and years and years for the destruction. And that's what he's speaking about. And listen. So does a man who kills all these people and brutalizes these people, should he go to jail? Yes. Should he suffer the consequences? Yes, right? But does it mean that he has nothing true to say? Does it mean that he doesn't have reasons why he did the things that he does? Does it mean that he can't be honest? Well, society doesn't let him. And I understand. But I thought that was interesting. Here is where Richard speaks on how he became the serial killer that he was. Here we go.
Okay, go ahead. Next
In my
question.
talks with you, you gave me the formula for the serial kill.
Yes, I believe a serial killer comes about by circumstances, and it is like a recipe. Poverty, drugs, child abuse, a few other things that I can't recall right now, but I believe that these things, contribute to a person, to a person's frustration and anger, and at some point in life, he explodes. Evil is feelings and emotions like anger, hate, lust, and greed. Whereas if I didn't give in to them, I would be crushed by them. Regretting is not my style. I cannot regret. It just isn't me.
Are there any things about you you'd want to be remembered for? Things that are positive in you? Things that you think are special?
I survived as best as I could.
Interesting stuff. It's just interesting to me. It's just interesting. For one, he's talking about like he felt in his mind, which I don't believe this to be true at all, but he believed it to be true, which is why he became the person he did. He said that there are feelings and emotions and all these things that and drugs that are like the recipe for somebody losing it. And I do believe that people just kind of lose it, right? But, and then he goes on to say that if I didn't lose it, then if I didn't act on these emotions and these feelings, then they would have eaten me alive type of thing, right? That's the part I don't believe to be true. Those are the things I don't believe to be true. I think that it feels that way. You know, when the emotions take over, it feels as if, like, if we don't scratch this itch, then we'll die. You know, it just feels, the pain feels so strong. But I don't necessarily believe that means that we must do it or else. That feels like temptation. That feels like the thoughts winning. That feels like an ultimatum by the devil to do this. And it's a false threat. It feels like a false threat. So, but I understand maybe why he can think that that's a thing, but it still doesn't justify you going out and killing people. Right? Because he killed a bunch of people. Come on. It's one to say, oh, like, I killed that person and I was angry. It was a mistake. No, he killed like 13, 14 people that we know of. You know what I mean? And the way he was doing it, he wasn't thinking about no regret. He said it. He don't have no regret. So it's clear that he's evil. And he admits it. And he acknowledges it. But at the end, he says something that's interesting to me. Is he says that I did the best that I could to survive. And I believe that to be true. Meaning, he did the best he could to avoid becoming this person, right? In his adolescence. Avoid, like, going to the extent and crossing a line and actually doing these killings. He probably was fighting so hard not to become that. But yet, he lost the battle and became it. And he being honest about it. He like, I know, blah, blah, blah. But I do think where I disagree is I think he believes he had no other choice. That's what I think he believes, he had no other choice. And I don't believe that to be true. But I think it's interesting. You know what I'm saying? Very interesting. And I think that we should be able to be in a place to, like, learn to step back and observe the big pic, the whole picture. Right? And I want to speak on that, but in a second, I just want this last little small clip. Richard goes on, I think it's not Maury. It's another one of these talk shows and speaks on how he became, no, I'm sorry. This is from Kelly Lambert. Richard in 1991 speaks on human beings' true capabilities. Here we go.
Okay, go ahead. Next
In my
question.
talks with you gave me the formula for the serial kill.
Oh, shoot. We did that. My bad. One more time.
I think most humans have in them the capacity to commit murder. It is not because...
No, we don't, Richard.
They choose not to, not because they are morally superior, as they so commonly claim, but because they are imprisoned in a web of responsibilities, commitments, beliefs, and sentiments.
Richard.
And that would render murder an absurd gamble or ridiculous self-destruction.
I don't know if you guys heard that properly, but that was so true. That is so true, what he just said. And he made it plain, but ears cannot hear it from a serial killer. Ears cannot hear it from a murderer. Ears cannot hear it from a brutalizer. Ears cannot hear it from an evil man. And I understand. But the reason why ears can't hear it because there's judgment cast upon him and your ears are closed off to something that he may be saying. That is true. What he said was all people are capable of doing any kind of act, any act on the scale of sin, let's just say. But most people do not because they're moral, not because they're good people, but because they have fear of the consequence, which is not a true pursuit. They have rules. They have things they don't want to lose. They have all different kind of reasons that aren't particularly genuine, but justifiable means to make them believe they would never do such a thing. And those justifiable means they identify with. They identify with the idea of thinking that they're a good person because they're afraid of the consequences. So what does that do? Allow them to look down on someone like Richard Ramirez, right? And then in all reality, what's really holding you up and holding most of us up are these morals and justifications and false identities rooted in fear, right? That are keeping us from the evil. But if all those were taken away, if we decided that we were to let go of all of these false identities, right? Then we would realize within ourselves, listen, we would realize within ourselves that we are very capable of anything. Very capable of anything. And the honesty of that may prevent you from doing it. But you still would be honest that you ain't no different. And he went on that show and said that, and they couldn't accept it. Why? Because we rather judge. We rather judge. We rather judge. Man. And I can only say so much. I really want to go in. But I can only say so much. So I think that that majority of people in the world today, I'm gonna get to your calls. The majority of people in the world today, will accept and allow themselves to be exactly as they are, whether it be judgmental, whether it be angry, whether it be, that's just the way the world works. It's the majority. That's how it's meant to be, that there's only a small few who understand it, only a small few who are going to overcome, only a small few who are going to seek it. And that's the reality. But regardless of if you seek it or not, truth is the truth. The truth is the truth. And everybody got a story. Everybody got an explanation. Everybody has a method to their madness. And we can learn a lot if we can observe this said madness without judgment. I think that should be the goal. because I think we can learn a lot from that. Anyways, I don't think anybody listening at this point. Let me go to first time caller Medwin out of Texas. Welcome to the show, Medwin. You're on the air.
Hey, what's up, Joel? How are you?
All is well, Medwin. How's it going?
Well, I'm cooler, man. Hey, so I actually got a little interesting story. So my dad, he's from Los Angeles.
Okay.
And he grew up in the area as a kid and I guess in the 80s and stuff. Well, I think around the time where everyone started hearing about Richard Ramirez and started seeing his sketches of what he looked like, I think people found him, and they started beating him up and jumping him and stuff. And my dad, he was a kid at the time. He told me there was this one time he seen him all beaten up and bloody because people were jumping him because from all the news and the television, letting the people know what he looked like and things like that. So that he actually saw him at a young age.
Sorry, I was
Richard
Oh, okay. He actually saw Richard. Sorry, I was distracted a little bit. He actually saw Richard and saw him. Say that part one more time.
He saw him beat up, jump, all bloody and stuff, And I think I could be wrong. That's probably part of the reason why he got messed up teeth and stuff, because people was beating him up.
Oh man.
Yeah. So that's
beating him
just what I
up.
heard
Beating
from
him
my
up.
dad.
Where? When were they beating him up?
I don't know. I guess because I'm looking at they have a sketch of him of what he looked like and stuff, and I don't know if they got his name and stuff, but he lived in he was in the area of Los Angeles, I guess, doing his crimes and and things like that. So I guess some people recognized him and from that sketch that they seen, and hearing that way he did and stuff, so they'll beat him up. I guess the police wouldn't be around to come and get the guy, arrest him. So I guess people will take justice into their own hands and whatever they gonna do.
Yeah.
So I guess they seen him and did what they did, but
I see.
that's just from what I heard. My dad, he was a kid at the time, so.
I mean, it makes sense because that is definitely the natural thing most people think to do, whether it's right or wrong, is to take matters into their own hands and try to solve the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Interesting. I believe that makes sense. It's interesting.
Yeah. But I also wanted to call. I was wondering, have you ever seen that movie, Area 51?
I haven't, or if I have it, I don't remember too much.
Well, I just watched it recently, and it's a really interesting movie, actually. When I watched it, I actually thought of you because, I felt like there's a lesson in that movie that I thought that you can teach.
Right on.
And I feel like you'll probably see some similar things that I saw in it from, a perspective of, where we're at now than, from then. So I recommend you, I highly recommend, watch that movie or rewatch it, check it out, and maybe you can come up and make, something about it. Yeah, it's really interesting.
Fair enough. What's it about briefly without saying, explaining it whole?
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
So it's about these two guys who are nerds or whatever, and they're into comic conventions and stuff like that, where they're taking a trip and they end up stumbling upon something crazy or whatever. So they go and check it out, and then during while they're checking it out, they see something from the distance, and it's this alien, and he introduces himself. They all freak out. But, saying he introduces himself and lets them know who he is and, what's going on and where he got to be, where they end up taking him with him and he's taking a trip where it's basically, introducing them, to what the things that he knows and, what they have question about. And they, they stumble upon these Christians or whatever. And this girl, they get this girl and she's like into like Christianity from her dad and all that type of stuff.
Well, I'll stop you there because it sounds like it sounds pretty good. But I want to check it.
Yeah,
I want to
that's
look
what I'm
into
saying.
it.
I don't want to say nothing,
Yeah.
man, but you going I'm
that's-
telling you, man. I think you'll really enjoy it.
Cool. I have to check that out. And look at. Matter of fact, you might be the second one that has recommended me that movie, so I might have to really look into it and see.
Yeah, man, there's something there. But yeah, that's all I just really wanted to put in, man. But thank you for having me on, man.
Right on, man. Real quick question. What do you think about these people, these type of serial killers, maybe even before hearing a little bit of what I had to say or just in general, what do you think about them and their mindset and all that stuff?
Well, I really think I watched a video what you said before, and I really agree with it because I seen it like already. But it really just starts from their childhood and what's done to them, as a kid. And if you look at it from there, it's not their fault. They're just really introduced to like the wrong things in their life, in their life. And if and from the things that with Jesse's, what he be talking about, with the mom and dad situation.
Yeah.
Especially like someone like Jeffrey Dahmer. I really think, when you look at it from that point, it will start to make sense of why this person is the way that they are.
Yeah.
And especially how you broke it down with Richard of how he was picking up those skills from his cousin of how to kill, how to kill people and bind them up and, things like that from what he was showing them. And that second skill of, being a peeping Tom, how to look at women and things like that.
Yeah.
It just build more and more of like, oh, is this what, life is? And it's like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's not his fault of him getting into these things that he's getting into. Same with somebody who's like, a kid, child molester, CP or whatever, you know what I'm saying? I knew as myself I could never judge somebody like that because it's not their fault. There had to been something that was done to them even when they was a kid for them to even be doing something like that.
Some
And
story.
people,
some story.
There's something. There's something to it, you know what I'm saying? And it's like you could have grown up as somebody like that person. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And no one really be trying to think of it like that. And everyone be, and I wouldn't dare to ever want to speak on nobody. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't know them like that, So,
yeah. Everybody got a story. That's the whole point. Everybody has a story and doesn't mean that it justifies their behavior, but what it does is it helps you understand and not to judge. And that's the point, is that we need to learn how to get over the judgment of people. But fair enough, man. Great points, Medwin. And thanks for calling. Call me again.
Yeah, no problem, man. I will.
All right, sounds good. Couple things I want to say, and I'm gonna get to super chats. Real quick things is that listen. When the feelings take over, the feelings take over. The same feelings that Richard has, maybe worse, right? I understand that Richard has that wanted to kill comes from the same place of the feelings we have to judge him for it. Comes from the same place. Now, ours may not lead to wanting to do these acts, right? But what it is, hate is hate is hate is hate, right? And I understand the feelings that come up because we all have them. We all have them. We all can, we all feel it. And then when we feel it, it feels so real and true, even if you're born again. You know what I'm saying? It feels so real and true, and we believe them, or it's hard to shake them or whatever. So I understand people's zeal to want to judge Richard as well, right? But ultimately, both of them are evil. Nobody deserves to be judged. And I know, listen, I be doing it too. So I ain't trying to sit up here and act like holier than that. I'd be doing it too. But I'm saying that even a message for myself, nobody deserves to be judged. Because it's not love. It's not an example of love. It's not a reflection of God. God punishes. God punishes. So that means that we can punish to a certain degree, right? But God does not judge like humans judge. Right? God understands the situation. And God can still love in a blink of an eye. He can still love. He can still turn. And God loves them. That's why the command is to love the enemies. Y'all don't think God loves Satan? And love doesn't mean hold hands and skip. Love means not resenting, understanding. Right? And a hand that is quick to learning how to overcome, learning how to be of love at any given moment, though people may be our said enemy, is the exact representation of how the enemy can actually see God. A lot of these people have not seen God. You think Richard has seen, or maybe at some point, he's had the opportunity to turn, and maybe he didn't, right? And he's paying for that. But when he was a kid, he constantly seeing Satan. Everywhere he turned, he's seeing Satan every direction. The devil, the devil, the devil, the devil. But when you can see somebody's actions and not judge them and still be of love to them despite, it gives them a fighting chance. That, wow, I'm a POS, piece of. But yet, they had mercy. They had grace. That's what God represents. That's what heaven looks like to me. And I'll let you know when I get there. But it makes sense. Interesting stuff. Let me get the super chats. Let me see here really quick. Aaron G. What's today? Today 15th. Aaron G says, today's show is deep. It seems like if you struggle with admitting you are capable of the worst atrocious atrocities, then you may still identify with what is in you, like hiding Satan in the closet. Aaron. 100%. 100%. You're actually you're keeping Satan's hand in your back. You know, like the puppet reference. Because what you're doing is you're ignoring it. You're ignoring it. You're pretending, maybe out of fear, right? But what you're doing in that hiding is it's keeping you stuck, and it's doing its job. It's doing its job. And we are to, at the very least, that's what repentance is be honest. Be honest about it. No matter how dark, ugly, scary it looks, we are to be honest. And you may still be identifying with what is in you, like hiding Satan in the closet. Exactly. 100% Aaron. Right on. I appreciate it for the super chat. Right on the money. Okay, let me check. Buy me a coffee. We have Eric Harlan. Shout out Eric. Trauma causes identification with the mind and emotions. The more identified with the mind, the harder it is to get out. That may be why Richard Ramirez believes he must give into the thoughts and emotions or they will destroy him. The thoughts and emotions are insistent and overwhelming to someone heavily traumatized. That's a good point, Eric. That's a good point. That the thoughts and the emotions are so strong for maybe Eric at the time, stronger than maybe any of us have experienced, right? More than any of us can experience maybe. And that in his mind, he believed that if he did not give in to them, he identified with those thoughts and those feelings as him, right? Makes sense. That if he did not give in to them, they were going to kill him. So what he had to do, kill others, right? And that could be the case. Still got to go to jail, buddy, right? Still got to pay the price. But just like also Medwin said, is that we don't know what happened, what the mindset was, how he got there. Lost, scared, hurt, broken, confused. All of us until we overcome. No man is good, said in the word. So, 100% Eric. Right on, man. Right on. Let me go to Rick out of Hampton, Virginia. Rick, welcome to the show. You're on the air.
What's going on, Brother Joel?
All is well, Rick. How are you?
Man, I'm fine, man. You know, I think when it comes to serial killers, man, I just think it just years and years of rage stored that turn to just their behavior. That's what I believe what serial killers come from.
Years and years of what?
Now, I said serial killers.
Yeah.
I said they come from just holding on to anger and it just turned to rage.
Yeah. And it becomes like a satisfaction too. If it's nice to release your anger, and then you get addicted to that too.
You know, I must say, you know, I have gotten angry, but for the most part, I realize it, and I try not to get angry. And a lot of times, we get angry because we don't want to seem like we're being weak.
Yeah, defense mechanism type of thing.
Right, you know. Yeah. And actually, if you want to get somebody to do something, just enforce the punishment, whatever it is.
Yeah.
You know, but a lot of times we get angry just for our egos, you know, make people think, we ain't a pushover.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's where a lot of, you know, and that's why sometimes you have to get, and I used to think that, like, sometimes you got to get angry to get people to do what you need them to do. But then again, you don't have to get angry to get people to do what you need to do, because all you got to do is, hey, you going home. You don't do your job. Just send them home.
Yeah.
Without getting angry.
Yeah.
You know?
And when they're ready to turn around, and if they see that you have, you know, the light or the love within you, then you'll be the first person they can turn to overcome. But if they feel that anger, they're just going to stay in their ways or find a reason to blame you for their anger.
You know, you're so right, Joel. And it's, you know, a lot of people don't understand anger.
Yeah.
You tell people like say, everything don't have to be anger. Oh, yeah, everything starts from anger.
Yeah.
I don't care. When people do something that's wrong, you better believe the seed of anger was involved.
Yeah.
You know, and like if you slap somebody upside the head, the seed of anger was involved.
Yeah.
You know, if you know, just Yeah, it's almost 9 out of 10. Even if you go to court, Brother Joel, when you go to court, most people, 90% of people that are there because of anger.
Yeah.
And
that's why we gotta let it. Oh, go ahead. Finish your point.
No, go ahead, Joel. Go ahead.
I would say that's why we have to let it. We really gotta learn how to let that go because, it's like the feeling that drives everything, right? Either fear or anger is just driving everything, and we end up getting caught up, and all our decisions are based from that. You know what I mean? They come from that.
Yeah.
So it's like our only option, our best defense is to learn how to overcome the stuff for sure.
Yeah, that's a doggone truth. Well, and I tell you, we don't have enough examples anymore.
Yeah.
I have never seen men.
Hey Rick, I'm sorry, but your phone you're breaking up a little bit.
Oh,
and
okay. Can you hear me now, Joel?
Yeah, a little bit better. Last quick point though, because I'm out of time.
Yeah. Okay, real quick point. I have never seen men so weak in my life, Joel.
Oh yeah.
I mean, man, we got to get back in our rightful spots, man.
Yeah.
Even men posture shows that how weak they are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And well, go ahead, Joel.
And I would say, yeah, and we at least gotta recognize that we're weak, right? Because men are weak, but just kind of play into it or just let themselves be. We gotta at least recognize that, be honest about it, and let it be. That way, we have a chance of overcoming. But you're right, though, Rick.
Man, yeah, man. A lot of times, I mean, most men let their wives run everything, man. They even tell them how to vote politically and everything, man.
Yeah.
And we just got to get better than that, Joel, man. But anyway, thanks for taking my call, my brother, man. Love you guys. I will see you Monday. Well, church service. I'll probably tune in to church service as well. But love you guys. Have a great weekend and enjoy and be safe there, Brother Joel.
Right on, Rick. I appreciate it, man. Have a good weekend as well. Nice. I got to end. American Anchor Baby coming in. Make sure you guys tune in to him coming up in 5 minutes here, the American Anchor Baby. But if you're looking on Rumble, it's just rumble.com/American Anchor Baby. Just American Anchor Baby. Also follow me across the board, Joel Friday TV. Also follow me on Instagram, JFTV Podcast. New Instagram, fairly new, and it ain't got no love over there. So go follow and go comment and like and stuff so the algorithms can do what they do. All right, y'all. Until next time, I gotta go. I'll see you on Monday, not tomorrow. Have a good weekend. Bye.